Yes, it is. Hello, Anna. We're gonna wait for a few people to get here. Twitch is telling me it's my 3-month anniversary? Well, I guess it's... Congrats! I guess you've been subbed to me for 3 months. I'm just gonna sing the thing until a couple more people show up. I'm ready to start yelling about Marsti. Me too. Why is this not on my game? I have purchased it. I have purchased it. Ah, now it's installed. There we go. There we go. Okay, we're looking at Aisha Farah, who's excellent for Marsti, and a new writer for Karako, Gizi. I have no idea who that is. Kim Quach, so excited to see Kim join the official art team. Kim was known for those the talk sprites for Link, and apparently those were good enough to get Kim noticed. Also did the background art for this for last volume. Angela Sham did the background art for this volume and the ending illustrations. What advertisement? In the start screen? No, that's Trizza. That's the heiress. Look at this fucking song title. That's the heiress, Trizza. Look at this fucking look at this song title. I hate it. If you haven't seen let's see, Mint Chipleaf, game design and programming, Sandra Crawford, volume quality assurance. If you haven't listened to the most recent podcast episode, James is a absolute delight. I had some incredible fun talking to him. I'm waiting for another person. I'm waiting for just, like one other person to show up and chat. Because I have secret light player energy. And I need people to be paying attention to me. Kate, what class aspect do you think I would be? Anna, I'm gonna go for... Your dad wrote Karako. That's cool. I didn't recognize the name. Oh, wait. Aisha's not in this chat yet. Unless, Aisha, you are here, in which case say hello in chat. But Aisha's dad is the writer of Karako. Anna, I think that you would be a... I'm trying to think of the class. You're definitely, I think, a Void player. I think you're a Void player. Hi, Sam. How's it going? Class-wise, I'm going to go for... Sylph. You're a Sylph of Void. I cannot get over this fucking track title. It sucks. Can't remember what sylphs do. They're like witches, but witchier. All right, let's get started then. Of cleanliness and clownliness. This is a dark world. Both because it's night and because of the brutal struggle for survival among its polyhemochromatic inhabitants, many of whom seem to thrive on havoc and carnage. You'd be interested to see the Michelin Guide entry for Alternia. You're convinced that after a day here, Ayn Rand would sign up with the Little Sisters of the Poor, Genghis Khan and Attila the Hun would join the Quakers, and Adolf Hitler would seek membership in the World Peace Council. Phew, Godwin's Law alert. Feeling a little dramatic tonight. You're gonna have to be way more specific than that one Tigiri Kenny. Godwin's Law alert. Feeling a little dramatic tonight. Thank you, Anna, for the heads up. All right, let's check out this guy. Having learned the dangers of using the public thoroughfares, you've taken to dodging down byways and skulking in rear areas, trying to spy out individuals who look ripe for friendship while avoiding the more criminally insane denizens. Just now you're following a winding footpath through the undergrowth surrounding a neighborhood where the local hives are spaced far apart. Oh, I turned off the game instead of starting soon, like an idiot. Whoops. I'm big dumb. I fixed it. You almost missed this incredible background art, and I'm so sorry about that. Right. Just now you're following a winding footpath through the undergrowth surrounding a neighborhood where the local hives are spaced far apart. You came creeping along this footpath for safety. You should have known better. The undergrowth here is like most of the other life forms on Alternia, evolved to ruthlessly purge the gene pool of the weak and the reasonable. Coiled, spring-loaded stalks with foot-long thorns flank writhing bushes with razor-edged leaves, which in turn crowd tentacled flora with toothed lobes, oozing liquid that hisses and smokes when it touches the ground. Extreme caution is needed, just as it's needed in every circumstance on this planet. While your time on Alternia has gotten you accustomed to injuries, you still shrink from being impaled on sprung thorns and dissolved in acid. You should have known that eventually you would have to come up against the local flora, so you proceed discreetly, avoiding poison fronds and trying not to step on trigger roots. But suddenly your vegetative focus is interrupted. You hear footsteps on the path, and then around the corner comes a small figure. Its face and horns are painted with smudged black and white marks. Despite its diminutive physique, it has some of the most impressive horns you've ever seen on any troll. Then the small figure sees you too and is so startled it jumps a foot, impaling its horns in an overhanging tree branch and sticking there so that its small legs pump helplessly in the air. Honk! You beg the small person's pardon and assure him that you were as fully startled as he. You go on to explain that you're not dangerous, but that even if you were, you would not want to come to strife with even a small person with horns of that size. Honk? Yes, you will be happy to help him down as long as he promises not to attack you with the many bladed weapons that are stuffed into his belt, or with the dozen cans of an inexpensive soft drink held in bandoliers crossing his chest. It strikes you suddenly that a neighborly gesture like helping someone whose horns are stuck in a tree branch can scarcely fail to kindle the light of friendship. You dare to hope that this will be the case now. Edging forward, you get close enough to see that around the small clown's neck hangs a dog tag or ID necklace. You tilt your head and crane your neck to read the writing on it. Karako Piro. If lost, call Branya or Sama. Suddenly this all makes sense. This Karako Piro must have been one of Branya's reject runt wigglers, who, having grown a childhood under her tender care, has gone out into the world to seek his fortune. That would account for his small size, short legs, and small stature relative to his horns. You eagerly pull out your palm husk, happy for an excuse to pester your old friend. But you've got zero signal out here. You wonder if the surrounding vegetation eats palm husk signals, just as it looks like it eats everything else. You disappointedly slip your palm husk back into your pocket. Hunk. You apologize for the delay, explaining that you were surprised to find that you appear to have an acquaintance in common, whom you hope you'll have time to discuss later. For now, you're ready, willing, and hopefully able to help him down. You hope he won't be offended if you slip behind him first. It's not that you object to bladed weapons, or those who stuff dozens of them in their belts, but you feel that the ones he's wearing could ruin your look if buried in your torso, however unintentionally. You edge past the weapons, being careful also not to touch the spring thorns growing at the edge of the path or their trigger roots. Once you're behind Karako, you grasp his horns firmly and pull, withdrawing them from the tree branch and allowing him to drop lightly to the ground. Honk! You tell him that he's very welcome. Then there's a moment of awkward silence as you try to think of something else to say. Fortunately, your new potential friend is not as devoid of the social graces as you are, and gets the conversational ball rolling himself. Honk? You explain that you are indeed a stranger in these parts, and that you actually don't fit into any of the hemospectrum categories. Wild, right? Although not quite as strange as you used to be, you'd like to think. You're really starting to blend in with the local color. Honk? Well, you'd rather not exhibit your blood just now. You're a couple of quarts low due to the robust conditions of life on Alternia, some of which you have recently had the honor of encountering. Honk. You sympathize. Slinking along these hidden paths in the Alternian woods can be tough on the morale. The smell alone is enough to make strong men weep, and the vegetation looks like it was designed by the Marquis de Sade. Not that he knows who the Marquis de Sade is. You can't help but feel it would be so much better if one only had a skulk buddy, you continue. How wonderful it would be to travel these dusky lanes with a kindred spirit, a twin soul, a fellow traveler, an intimate crony. You're such an expert on friend synonyms by now. Honk? No, you haven't met anyone like that either, but you would certainly like to. Your new potential friend is obviously thinking seriously about this issue, so you back off, give him space. You pretend to be deeply immersed in studying one of the razor-sharp leaves on one of the writhing bushes beside the path. You aren't one to force yourself on others or try to unduly influence their friendship decisions. Okay, well maybe you forced yourself on others in the past and tried to influence their friendship decisions. Maybe you've even done this a lot, but you've recently evolved as a person. You know now that friendship is something that has to come authentically from within. Friendship is spontaneous. Real friendship sprouts naturally from the soil of mutual respect. The best friendships grow and ripen over years, and are not rushed or forced. Of course, you've only known this small person for about 5 minutes, but you have to start ripening sometime. When you're reflecting thus on the theme of friendship, when a loud skrishal pours suddenly from the sky above you. It's a crackling, sizzling sound, like a chitinous thing with too many legs struggling in a hot frying pan. Karako jumps so violently that he nearly gets his horns stuck in the tree again. Looking up, you see a floating metal object, vaguely troll-shaped but huge, faceless, metal, and with numerous sets of lightning bolt-shaped horns coming out of its head and neck. It's also not a very sparkling conversationalist. Skrizzz, it remarks in a flat, echoing blare. Skrizzz, it elaborates further. Honk! Alright, we're gonna go for the first one. Run! A drone! You run in wild panic. It's a drone. Even the Alternian badasses you've hung out with have been terrified of the drones. Up close, it's one of the most terrifying things you've ever seen. And it's making noises, which you didn't know they even did, and which probably means something sinister. You race at top speed down the twisting path, focusing your senses to their breaking point to avoid trigger roots, razor leaves, and acid pods. At first, you hear the pattering of small feet running behind you, but as you redouble your speed, the pattering falls back and after a while is lost in the distance. You sprint for what seems like a lifetime before you finally catch your foot on a trigger root and go flying through the air, barely missing being sliced into 100 pieces of tumbling ham by the barbed spring vine that lashes across the path only inches behind you. You land in the dirt, wind knocked out of you, but otherwise unhurt. You lie there catching your breath and waiting, but nothing happens. No enormous metal monster whizzes down the path to impale you. No small, clown-faced individual overtakes you on his short legs. Finally, after enough nothing happens, you pick yourself up and dust yourself off. You're alone on the path, and no sound of either friend or potential friend or foe can be heard. No birds sing, which is probably good. You imagine that any birds native to this forest would probably sing by croaking up putrid sludge, or that the sludge would be poisonous or radioactive. But leaving aside the character of the local fauna, what should you do? Keep on down the path, putting more distance between yourself and the drone? Or should you go back and see if Karako is okay? You waffle for a while, and then decide to go back. You sneak back along the path. You sneak a long, long way. But however far you go, there are no signs of either Karako or the drone. You don't know whether the drone picked Karako up and took him away, or disemboweled him and scattered him to the fragments, or whether Karako just leapt into the undergrowth and hid or escaped, or what. One way or another, you're all alone again on this path through shit-smell forest. Aww. Well, that's a quick game over. You leap to your proto-friend's aid. Thinking quickly, you push Karako against a large rock that juts out of the undergrowth nearby and jump in front of him, shielding him from the drone with your body. You then pretend to be leaning against the rock in an attitude of tranquil repose. Several of the bladed weapons in Karako's belt poke you in the ass, but you don't let this show on your face. Instead, you yawn elaborately and check your wristwatch. You don't have a wristwatch, but you don't think drones know what a wristwatch is anyway. You pretend to smoke a non-existent cigarette. Again, you're not giving anything away, because drones don't know what cigarettes are either. But the drone is apparently taking an interest in you. It floats down between the trees and undergrowth and hovers above the path several meters from where you're pretending to relax against a rock after a long day of hiking through scenic shit-smell forest. It's quite a terrifying sight, actually. Skrrr, the drone observes soullessly, making Karako jump so that several of your internal organs are threatened. However, you maintain what you believe the local populace would call a stiff upper whistle pillow. The drone's blank metal head studies you. Or it could be studying something in the opposite direction, or even taking the drone equivalent of a piss. You can't really tell from its expression because it has no features to make expressions with. This examination or non-examination continues for some time. But your diminutive potential friend is well hidden from view, and after a while, evidently concluding that you are an inanimate object that makes unaccountable gestures with its wrists and fingers, the drone floats upwards again, gaining speed until with a dreary skr, it whizzes off somewhere to find other hapless, non-standard citizens to euthanize. When it's gone, you stand away from the rock and rub several sore places that have been pierced by bladed weapons. You turn to Karako to comment on the recent fervor, but stop when you see the look he's directing at you. A warm and admiring look. An affectionate and esteeming look. A look of friendship. Your first impulse is to throw your arms around him and lean in, but on second thought, remembering his pants arsenal, you put out your hand for a warm handshake. Victory is so close. But before you can seal the deal on this sweet friendship transaction, you hear a disturbance further down the path. God, can't the narrative chill for one single moment? Especially the moment when you're about to consummate a beautiful friendship? You turn to look. The footsteps, several sets of them, get nearer, and around the bend come 3 figures. 3 figures wearing swimming outfits, lots of gold jewelry and insouciant expressions. 3 figures with gills on their necks and small, stylized fins on their face. Oh man, is it possible that you finally happened upon a group of the legendary Sea Dwellers? They stop short when they see you and Karako, obviously startled. They study you. You study them. Then fin-headed interloper 1, in a one-piece and diamond earrings, whispers to her companions, and all 3 burst out laughing. Finhead interloper 2, in a violet wetsuit and ring, slaps her thigh, and Finhead interloper 3, in checkered swimming trunks, holds his sides. Part of you is relieved. Laughter drives out the devil, is the best medicine, and in any event is better than homicidal mania. On the other hand, this laughter isn't friendly. It's cold, mocking, and supercilious. These sea dwellers are obviously laughing at you, not with you. You notice Karako's cheeks flushing purple under his face paint and his jaws clenching. However, he just stares with stony dignity at the interlopers. This just makes them laugh harder. The first sea dweller says, "What are you two supposed to be?" "Shrimp Cassidy and the Squamous Kid?" says her second companion. "A coal-bait minnow and his mutated soft-shell crab," says her third. "Looks like the minnow mal one went down on the clown, causing it to spurt out the other one." The sea dweller's laughter is redoubled. You continue expressionless at these insults, but to your dismay, Karako's face is taking on a harsh, glowering look. You guess that such a tiny dude has probably been victimized by bullies his whole life. And as you happen to know, there are no bullies like Alternian bullies. Honk. You tell him to let them talk all the shit they want. Don't let them provoke him. If they're trying to get him to do something stupid, if he doesn't react, they'll get bored and go away. Honk. No, remember that drone. It's probably still around here somewhere. Touch a scale on their heads and you could be rendered into mother grub feedstock. Hey, bottom feeders, no whispering when you're in the presence of your bathers. And you, little boy, put a respectful expression on your recognition surface. Be more like your friend, the slender manatee over there. In fact, why is it you two are still perpendicular? In the presence of sea dwellers, you should be bowed at right anglers. The first Sea Dweller seems to have an affinity for cheesy ocean puns. You bow to the Sea Dwellers. You have your dignity, but you also like not getting killed. Karako remains stubbornly upright, his face getting angrier and purpler by the moment. The bladed weapons in his belt jingle from his enraged trembling. Oh, see the little clownfish. He's getting angry. Looks like he's gonna shit his pants. What did I tell you about your face, boy? Didn't your Lucis teach you anything? I doubt he even has a Lucis. A self-respecting Lucis would never let a shrimp like that out of the hive. Unless his Lucis is just as defective. The Lucis cracks are too much for Karako. Ignoring your hissed warnings, he suddenly leaps snarling into the air, draws bladed weapons from his belt in each hand, and hurtles toward the Sea Dwellers. Honk! Honk! Okay. We're gonna grab him by the coattails and try to keep him from precipitating a disaster. You leap forward and grab Karako by the coattails, or by his belt. You aren't actually sure what a coattail is. Jesus, he's strong. You can barely hold him. It's like trying to restrain a small truck. His legs rotate wildly, kicking up a cloud of dust, and he brandishes his bladed weapons wildly in the direction of the Sea Dwellers. After a startled moment in which they jump backwards, the Sea Dwellers have started to laugh again, coming up with more stupid insults and fish puns. This is not helping. Karako runs twice as hard, honks twice as loud, shakes his weapons twice as threateningly. Hey, hey, you shout at Karako, trying to be heard above the fracas, holding on with all your might and digging in your heels. You have half a mind to just let him go, to pay the Sea Dwellers back for their insults, but you try and keep a cool head. You're doing your proto-friend much more good trying to restrain his wrath. You've now succeeded in wrapping your arms all the way around him, and now you get in front of him, holding him back with straight arms, bellowing soothingly into his face and trying to avoid the bladed weapons he's brandishing. But it's not working. You can see from the contorted features, the bared teeth, the distended nostrils with smoke coming out, the blazing eyes, that Karako is getting more and more enraged. And suddenly his rage seems to reach a kindling point. His body vibrates violently. His eyes grow huge and round. And suddenly from his body, something like a nuclear blast pressure wave of fear and violence sends you flying through the air like a scrap of paper in a gale. What the fuck? Are you hallucinating? But you can see as you soar up above the path that the Sea Dwellers aren't laughing anymore. In fact, they're screaming in terror and fleeing wildly, blundering into razor leaves, being impaled by spring thorns and burned by pod acid, and generally receiving the stern retribution that awaits assholes. Then your head collides with the tree branch and you're rendered unable to narrate for a while. I try to get the bad route first because I want to game over twice. And when I'm streaming, I want to game over twice and then get the good end. You wake up lying in the dust. As consciousness returns, you realize that you're lying on the path, and as it returns further, that a small clown-painted figure is seated next to you, quite calm now. He smiles fondly as he sees you sit up. Honk! You smile in return. You express relief that he realizes you were acting in his best interests, holding him back from the finheads. And now, though largely because of his unexpected burst of clown sorcery, or whatever that was, everything has turned out for the best. Karako holds up his arms for a hug, but then remembering the bladed weapons in his belt, sticks out his hand. You shake it warmly. Friendship! Alright, let's get that other game over. Gamers, let's get this bread. Leap into the fray and lend comfort and support. You leap into the fray to lend comfort and support. You would have counseled Karako to turn the other cheek and keep turning cheek after cheek until the Sea Dwellers got fed up and went away. But now that things have hotted up, you're not about to let down the side. Karako crashes into the Sea Dwellers, his bladed weapons whirling like a blender. You scamper close behind him and kick someone in the shin. Combat pro tag! It hurts your foot, but it doesn't seem to have any other effect. These Sea Dwellers are made of tough stuff, or you're extremely flimsy. Signs have recently pointed to the latter. Your next sortie is more effective, however. Thinking quickly, you pick up a rock and throw it at the trigger root of a spring thorn growing along the path next to where the Violet Bloods are enduring Hurricane Clown. The coiled stalk springs out, impaling the dude with a dozen foot-long thorns. I love this flora. He's thrown off balance, and violet blood begins to flow copiously down his body. That's a hue you haven't seen before. Kind of pretty. But these Sea Dwellers are made of tough stuff. He yanks the springthorn stalk away from him, pulling the thorns out, and flings it into the woods. Then he takes out a pocket handkerchief and starts patting his injuries gently. Meanwhile, Karako's bladed weapons have not been idle, and the other two sea dwellers are likewise leaking violet blood. But these bastards are hard to kill. You remember Palapa telling you that. As you watch, one of them grabs one of the bladed weapons from Karako's hand and buries it in Karako's stomach. This, unsurprisingly, is distracting for a poor little clown, allowing two of the finny sons of bitches to grab handfuls of bladed weapons from his belt and bury them in various parts of his body. You dance around delivering harmless kicks and curses. Karako is still waving his weapons, but he seems to be waving them more slowly now. Then, as more and more bladed weapons are buried in his body, he seems to lose focus. The weapons he's been brandishing fall from his hands. Finally, he falls to the ground in the center of a spreading pool of purple blood, twitches feebly for a minute, and then is still. You stare in disbelief at the corpse of one who, if he had been spared just a short while longer, would have been your friend. One despised and rejected, a clown of suffering, familiar with pain. They had flogged him and mocked him and spit on him, and then killed him. You struggle to come to terms with this. While you're doing that, one of the remaining sea dwellers grabs you by the hair and suplexes you onto the ground. Your head snaps back and pain explodes behind your eyes. You're left lying on your back and trying to stay conscious, which is why you have a good view of what happens next. In the dark sky above you, something opens. Something even darker than the sky. A hole, like a cave in the clouds. It widens until you can see that in the cave, a carousel with wooden horses mounted on brass posts rotates, the horses plunging up and down in time with carnival music played by a mechanical organ. Riding the horses are naked store window mannequins, their legs slung awkwardly over the horses' backs, their stiff arms down by their sides in whatever pose they were created, their horns huge and wildly shaped. In the darkness above the carousel, other naked mannequins with plastic wings tied to their backs are supported on wires. Above these, in turn, a net of white Christmas tree lights twinkle against the roof of the dark cave or circus tent or whatever it is, throwing their dim starlight illumination down on the rotating carousel. As you watch, two of the winged mannequins break loose from their wires and fly down from that dark region to the night sky and the dimension Alternia occupies. They maneuver until the stiff hands on the ends of their stiff arms are underneath Karako, and then they lift him up into the sky and into the dark carnival. You hear the last faint, reviving honk as they set him on one of the wooden horses, and then the hole in the sky closes, and there's nothing but the night sky above you. All is silent and still again. An odd feeling comes over you. You don't think you've ever felt such a feeling, just the reality of how utterly insignificant you are. Sure, you've spent the last few months wandering with no desire but the desire for connection, and you are, in a way, a being unique in this galaxy. But honestly, what does that even mean? You flit in and out of people's lives, there 1 minute, gone the next, always moving from friend to friend. You are, for all intents and purposes, a virtual non-entity, a bland point of view vector, a neutral second-person narrator, barely coming into the picture. A retiring entity, expressing only a simple, one-dimensional desire for friendship. But just about now, you feel that things have gone pretty far. And just about now, you feel that you've had about enough. Enough of arrogant high-bloods. Enough, in fact, of short-wavelength hemotypes carelessly and without compunction killing and maiming and exploiting those of longer wavelengths. Of a survival of the fittest regime that seems to come down to the survival of the most violent psychopaths. Is this a moral universe, or is it not, you ask yourself? Are repulsive cruelty and sickening evil punished in this universe, or are they not? Does an ethical force operate in this universe, or does it not? You don't know the answer to these questions, but you do know one thing. You intend to depart for once from your one-dimensional persona. You intend to punish repulsive cruelty and sickening evil if it comes within your ability to do so. You intend to create an ethical force field in your local region. You intend to exert some moral gravity right around where you are, if you possibly can. And you realize that this odd feeling you're having seems to be drawing moral Higgs bosons out of the moral ground state, and right out of the fabric of this multicolored blood-soaked planet that heaves under your feet. You take on the aspect of Clown Sarker. Seizing 2 cans of inexpensive soft drink from where they fell from Karako's bandoliers, you shake them and pull the pins. Then with malice aforethought, you direct the twin streams at the sea dwellers. You smell banana and strawberry as the deadly streams play upon them. Already weakened, they fall back with cries under the withering onslaught. As soon as the streams slacken, you take up 2 more cans, shake them, and deal out death to the unrighteous. You smell peach and diet root beer this time, but no pity softens your heart. You wouldn't care even if it were pineapple watermelon you were spraying on these brutes. But these finheads are made of tough stuff. Rallying even in the face of this intense onslaught, they push forward, and seizing some bladed weapons from the purple blood pool, advance upon you. Not one step back. You vow to the memory of Karako Pero. You stand your ground, in desperation, grabbing some cans of diet tonic water and club soda and opening up your batteries once again. But to no avail. A trident pierces you to the bone, followed by a scimitar, a tomahawk, a short spear, and so many other bladed weapons that the sheer weight of them drives you to the ground, where your red, precious blood flows in moderate streams, mixing with the purple blood of your proto-friend. This is the end, you realize, but you are glad you died in righteous battle. You are glad you created even the tiny, sputtering, temporary moral force field in your local region that you did. You can feel your life and narrative point of view slipping away, but you are content. Yet what's that you see above you now? A dark space has opened up, even darker than the night sky, and two stiff-looking winged figures are descending. They land next to you, and gently place their stiff hands under you. Then they ascend once again, lifting you higher and higher into the darker space. As you pass the boundary of the heavenly carnival, your life seems to revive within you. And as the fabric of the place closes around you and the two stiff mannequins place you on a carousel horse next to Karako, you realize that planets, universes, dimensions, realities, powers, principalities, and cosmos come and go. But friendship is forever. Huh. Well, Karako just blew my mind. Clown religion is real. And not just in the Lord Englishy way, apparently. Hold on, I'm making another tweet. Yeah, okay. So we got some lore. Howdy, spooky circuits. Clown church lore came through. And that was written by Aisha Farah's dad. Fucking magnets. How do they work? All right, let's get started on Marsti. Oh, give me just one sec. I'm gonna fucking... Huh. Well, that's something... There was, like, a lot. There struck me as, like, a lot of potential aspect stuff as well in that one. I think the Karako route deserves a close read. All right, now it's time for gay rights. This is a dark world, both because it's night and because of the brutal struggle for survival among its polyhemochromatic inhabitants, many of whom seem to thrive on havoc and carnage. You'd be interested to see the Michelin Guide entry for Alternia. You're convinced that after a day here, Ayn Rand would sign up with the Little Sisters of the Poor, Genghis Khan and Attila the Hun would join the Quakers, and Adolf Hitler would seek membership in the World Peace Council. Phew. Godwin's Law alert. Feeling a little dramatic tonight. Look at this girl. Despite a certain sense of pervading existential gloom that you haven't managed to shake even after communing with a possible oracle/secret agent, big muse energy, you are feeling pretty all right. No more brooding in your cliffside apartment. You have a fresh thirst this evening. A thirst for friendship. You're wandering around a neighborhood you haven't seen in a while, just a few blocks from where you crash landed. Maybe you'll go pay a visit to the crash site of your ship, even though it's long since been stripped for parts by the local population. So this is Zephyros' neighborhood, by the way, where Protag crash landed. The billboard's right across the street. Or maybe you'll try to find Demon to say hi, though you're pretty sure he's still living the nomadic shrubbery lifestyle. And James Rich actually talked about this Rustblood neighborhood in this week's podcast. You're just here for the nostalgia, honestly. Malaise who? You hardly know her. Just then, from across the street, echo two voices raised in argument. Well, one is soft and murmuring, and one is loud and honking. A rust-blood girl and a purple-blood guy are squared off in front of a patch of graffiti that blooms over the bricks like moss. The girl appears to be in the process of scrubbing it away. There's a mop bucket and a collection of sponges next to her. And I told you this shit is sacred motherfucking iconography, the purple blood is saying. So fuck the hell off, little red dumpling. The rust blood says something back that makes him laugh. The sacred iconography appears to be a collection of swear words and a couple colorful renderings of certain sections of troll anatomy you have not yet had the chance to explore. The girl with the bucket wrings her sponge out and stares the clown down. Well, you assume she's staring him down. She's wearing big round goggles to match the bright rubber gloves pulled all the way up to her elbows. Despite the mop bucket, she looks more like a scientist from a B-grade horror movie than a janitor. The purple blood doesn't even have any visible weapons on him, but that doesn't make him look any less dangerous. And unless the girl has a blade in that mop handle, she's totally defenseless. You face this precise scenario more than once, but it doesn't get any easier. No matter how much self-confidence you earn or hardships you endure, life or death friendship decisions don't get any easier. Mind your own business for once in your life. Listen, you aren't the goddamn alien special forces. You aren't the friendship police. You can't afford to insert yourself into the middle of every single altercation in the hopes that the drunken gamble of destiny will offer up new and greater connections onto your sore, tired ass. You aren't made of goodwill alone. Everyone needs breaks, man. No, Conan, no. It's not. They call it something else. Protag calls it a bucket, because Protag doesn't know anything. But a mop thing is called something else that I can't remember for the life of me. It's mentioned in Hiveswap. You march casually by, hands behind your back. If you knew how to whistle, you would. Nothing to see here, folks. Feet smack the ground behind you and the girl runs by, surprisingly spry in the rubber boots. Not spry enough, apparently, because the high blood is hot on her heels. Nope, not helping. Definitely not. Don't get involved. Don't get involved. You already made your choice. You are not getting involved. At the last moment, you stick out one of your famous legs and the clown goes flying. He hits the pavement hard, nose first. Son of a bitch. There you went and got involved. The high blood might be kissing concrete, but he won't be for very long. It's tough to kill a clown. You take this opportunity to get the fuck out. Damn, you don't know anybody around here. Maybe you can run back to your stolen vehicle before... Hands grab you by the back of the hoodie, hauling you around the corner and into the shadows of an alleyway. Shit, the clown must have friends, and those friends must have circled around behind you. You open your mouth to scream. Not because you think anyone's going to help you, but just because you might as well. If you can't go out fighting, might as well go out making as much noise and being as obnoxious as possible. A rubber-gloved hand slaps over your mouth before you get out more than a squeak. You taste soap. Chill. Stop struggling. It's the Rustblood girl. She's taken the time you'd bought her and cashed it in to take refuge in an alleyway. The two of you hold still as the purple blood storms by, stomping and cursing and bleeding from a gash across his forehead. Ha! You did that. Your leg did that. You will never get over the rush you receive from doing something cool and competent. Marsti holds on to you until the sound of his footsteps fade. You feel her heartbeat hammering against your back. She lets you go and slides away to the other side of the alley, as if an apology for being so close to you before. Her boots squeak. You take a few steps nearer so you don't have to shout to be heard. You thank her for helping. You're both just all about helping, apparently. You decide not to mention the part where you tried very hard not to get involved. Yeah, you didn't have to do that. Actually, you shouldn't have. I'm perfectly capable of tripping my own clowns. You tell her you have no doubt that that's true, even if she doesn't have a sword in her mop handle. She seems to have a good pair of legs. Mentioning her mop appears to remind her that she left all her cleaning equipment out on the street. She takes a furtive glance back down the way the guy had gone and then heads back toward the graffiti. You scamper to keep up. You shouldn't be out alone in a place like this. Not that I can really summon much gumption to care beyond this one walk down the street. But did you come here to die? Because that's what's going to happen if you keep this shit up. What's your deal? You don't really know about your deal. You've worked really hard not to consider your deal at all, because the existential radio static that prickles at the base of your neck when you think about your deal is astoundingly unpleasant. Attempting to change the subject, you ask her if maybe she shouldn't get out of here while she still has the chance. Is that bucket really that important to her? Marsti looks at you with a certain eyebrow raise that you're well accustomed to by now. Oh shit, you just put your foot in it again, culture-wise. You wish you could find a book with a crash course on Alternia, or at least a decent Wikipedia article. But it's not like there's any helpful Earth guide for idiots. At least you've never heard of one. Besides, things are different depending on where you are on Earth, geographically. You imagine it's the same for Alternia. You feel positively nauseated at the idea of having to learn a whole new set of societal norms. You'll just stay in this particular city, thank you very much. Do I care about my bucket? That's kind of a weird way to phrase it. I care about it as much as the next person who doesn't want to get culled. Also, scour drays don't grow on coniferous fauna. She tosses the discarded sponges back into the bucket. You bend down to help, but she stops you with a sardonic glance. Most of her glances are sardonic, but this one especially so. She goes back to work on the graffiti. If you're going to hang around, you can make yourself less useless. Watch and make sure the high blood doesn't come back. Oh, yeah, for sure. You can totally do that. Of course, you won't be able to actually do anything if he comes back. Where's Rimley when you need her? Maybe you could use your own limp corpse to slow the clown down. Not that you know Marsti well enough yet to love the idea of sacrificing yourself for her. Man, character development is great. Not immediately going to your death is great. That thought sends a creeping wash of anxiety along your spine. You don't understand it, so you try to distract yourself. Man, there's some weird lore going on with Protag. You ask Marsti if she just cleans graffiti or if she has other jobs. Okay, well, maybe not jobs. You know, nobody on Alternia has an actual job. Whatever I'm feeling, mostly. Today I was feeling getting rid of this incredibly ugly piece of shit drawing. Tomorrow I might be feeling dirty front door mats. Depends on my mood. Yeah, you def get that. You're also a person of mercurial moods. Do you seek out new friends tonight, or go to one of your standby pals? Sometimes the universe just sweeps in and decides for you. Yeah, well, you're extremely weird and focused on weird shit, but also kind of magnetic at the same time. It's freaking me out. Wow, thank you! Marsti dunks her sponge back in her bucket, or scour tray, right. Buckets are dirty. The drones don't make it down here very often, so there's a lot of shit to scrub. You tell her it's cool that she likes cleaning so much. Where you're from, physical labor is considered morally virtuous, but also kind of looked down on. Fuck, maybe you could use an Earth cultural handbook for your own damn self. Who said anything about liking it? Who made the rule that I can only do what I like? She slams the sponge down hard into the scour tray, getting water down the front of her apron. This is just what I do. What, do you like wandering around in someone else's hoodie? Accosting strangers? Kind of? Sometimes? You didn't choose the friend life. The friend life chose you. But Marsti isn't a stranger in a strange world like you are. She's got horns and gray skin and everything. You realize she's a rusty, but come on. Oh, yeah. How many burgundies do you know exactly? Well, one. And he's interested in meat. But he's pretty enthusiastic about it. One might say over-enthusiastic. You think I'm not enthusiastic? She scrubs harder, just to show you how enthusiastic she can be. A delicate calligraphy-based rendering of the word globe gobbler disappears beneath her soapy hands. Okay, maybe Demon is not the greatest example of someone enjoying their hobbies in a healthy and natural way, but you know plenty of other lowbloods with cool hobbies. Skilla, Chixie, Sirava. Am I supposed to know who these idiots are? Not all lowbloods know each other. Oh man, that's not what you meant at all. I'm not going to explain my life story to some random alien. Are you going to help or not? Oh, well, you thought you were supposed to be keeping an eye out for clowns. Yeah, well, instead you're asking me invasive questions. So now help me scrub. Despite these mixed signals, you pick up a sponge and start cleaning. This is actually a lot harder work than it looks like, and your back and shoulders begin to ache immediately. If Marsti does this every day, she must be ripped under that jacket. She stops talking and you just clean alongside her, worrying that you're royally screwing this up. You don't know how to fix it. The graffiti is quickly disappearing between your combined efforts, and you aren't sure how much longer she's going to put up with you after that. You've got to pull out the big friendship guns and fast. You ask, in your characteristically smooth style, what she's doing after this. Any plans? Just hypothetically? Who knows? Probably I'll just look for more shit to clean. Well, it just so happens you know a lot of dirty places. Just exceptionally filthy. Oh yeah? Where? Well, let's try Uptown. It just so happens that you have connections. Uptown girls. And boys. You ask Marsti how'd she like to clean a mansion. I guess that could be cool. What are you thinking? Well, first of all, you want to bring your new friend to your swank stolen car. Marsti doesn't seem that interested, although she does comment that she's never been in a scuttle buggy. Then she begins picking up the crumbs from your back seat. You tell her that she doesn't have to clean up after you. Bold of you to assume I'm doing it for you. You shrug. You've come to accept that some of your friends are just fundamentally difficult to understand. Some days you really think you're beginning to get it, and the next you remember that alien isn't just your immigration status. Marsti stares out the window as the houses get bigger and grander. The car passes beneath an archway and a light sweeps over the two of you. Marsti stiffens. You tell her not to worry. It's just a sensor to discern your blood color. Malik gave you a plug-in to scramble it. No stress. It must be nice to have friends in high places. You ask Marsti where she lives. Wherever I feel like. Depends. Oh, so she's just like Demon. Her hive was destroyed. Or possibly up a tree like Boulder. Although it's possible she was just fucking with you. I wish you'd stop comparing me to people like I should know what you're talking about. And no, my hive is fine. It just gets boring cleaning the same fucking building over and over again. You get how that could be cool, going from place to place. Like Demon goes looking for meat, and Connell and Asdaya look for people to kill. Everyone here seems to be weirdly obsessive and hyper-fixated. Maybe that's what happens when you bring up a bunch of kids in a robot-regulated world where the only rule is don't get killed, and by the way, some of you are inherently inferior. Have fun! As you get closer to Zebra's hive, Protag, you fucking idiot! You begin to get chilly strut pods. What if he tries to make Marsti into one of his, guests? He has that weird thing for low bloods. Protag, you're an idiot! You figure she'll be safe if she's with you, but you aren't always the best at making good decisions when you have more than one friend to deal with at once. The sight of Zebra's Lucis glaring at you from an upstairs window clinches it. You can't take another condescending stare from Zebra Dad. Where are we going? I hope you weren't talking about this pathetic mess on the seat. Barely worth my time. You can make a better mess, you swear! No, I don't want a staged mess. Fuck, okay. Who do you know who is also kind of a slob, but not a total piece of shit? Malik. What? Goat Dad lets you in with a hysterically happy bleat. Aw, missed you too, Goat Dad. Marsti weathers his sniffling and nuzzles, and when he tries to eat one of her rubber gloves, she scratches him behind the ears as a distraction. She gently removes the glove from his mouth. Protag didn't do it. Protag's fine. Protag isn't canceled. We're all good. I need these, actually. You call to Gallic, but he doesn't respond. Maybe he's out. The coffee pot is half full, but it's cold. Goat Dad bleats and butts you gently. Aw, poor guy. Are you lonely? Has Gallic been neglecting you now that he has a hate boyfriend? Marsti is a little more uncomfortable here than she'd been in your car, but when she catches sight of Gallic's study, all of that slows off. It's even more of a mess than it had been last time you were here, when he'd been trying to impress you with his intellectual clutter. She gets down to work immediately, stacking books alphabetically and sorting papers into piles by subject. You know Gallic is an A-type personality who will probably go briefly ballistic at the knowledge that someone has messed with his stuff, but Marsti is just so organized and thorough. You feel sort of weird about just standing here watching her clean, so you gather up all the used dishes and bring them into the kitchen. When you're done with that, you figure you'll just try to be entertaining. You ask her if she's seen any movies recently. Since you've made friends with Zabid and started hanging out with Tagiri's anime club, you've been exposed to multiple cultural touchstones. Yeah, I don't really watch much TV. Don't worry, I don't need to be entertained. She kneels down to start dusting beneath the couch. I know you think I'm basic, and that's fine. I don't really give a shit what anyone thinks, let alone a condescending alien with no blood color to speak of. Yikes. So if you wouldn't mind. Crunch, crunch, crunch. Oh no. Crunch, crunch, crunch! What the hell is that noise? And there you go again. Getting swept up in a friendship endeavor and totally beefing it. You forgot about Goat Dad's propensity for nomming on anything within reach, and he spent the last 10 minutes happily munching on several leather-bound notebooks. Gallic's experimental word rumpuses! Fuck! He loves those! He's going to murder you! To smooth another layer onto this farce, the front door creaks open and Gallic's voice rings out, calling to Goat Dad, who lets out an excited bleat and scampers off, trailing little white scraps. Marsti looks from you to the front of the house and down at the paper trail. Then she's out the window and off down the hill. Because though basic she may be, she's no idiot. Scamper. Look at her, she's off! She's out of here! That's adorable. And Gallic hiding. Alright, well, we game over. We're going to intervene here because I think this is going to game over. Who are you kidding? You were never going to leave her to fend for herself. It's against your religion. Your religion of reflexively and ceaselessly searching for new buddies. You aren't making excuses for it anymore. You've decided to take what Boulder said to heart and just resign yourself to your fate. Well, it wasn't exactly what she said, but a lot of it was confusing and spooky. You're half convinced she was just doing it for the mysterious aesthetic. You stride yeet the fuck out. The Marsti yeeteth. You stride confidently toward the altercation, calling out a challenge to the rogue clown. Nobody messes with those less fortunate while you're on the case. And since it's been resoundingly too long since you've had a truly ironic and hilarious twist of fate befall you, as soon as you step up onto the sidewalk, the Purple Blood's fist connects with your head, and your head connects with concrete. Clock! Insta game over! Alright, let's get the fuck back. Try downtown. You suggest this place sure looks ripe for some serious power cleaning, because wow, filthy. Yeah, I guess. I was planning on cleaning down here anyway. The drones mostly take care of the high blood neighborhoods. Interesting. Zebra had low bloods cleaning for him, but maybe he's an exception. I'm not here to explain cultural dynamics to you. At least not for free. You consider mentioning that you're the main character, and thus totally deserving of cultural exposition, but you doubt she'd take that well. Also, it's kind of a weird thing to say, so never mind that. Marsti has full fucking, I mean, not Marsti. Protag has, like, narrative awareness at this point. You saw Marsti and Allie you recognize, the one with the incinerator where Polyped getting rid of her assassination disguise. Here, maybe? Too easy. Okay, well, what about the stretch of road where Rimil killed a dude? Or not Rimil, Rimily. There's still quite a bit of purple blood spattered around. Pretty good, but no. I don't have the right outfit for blood. Jesus, picky. Oh, sorry. Are my personal preferences inconveniencing you? No, but you aren't used to this shit taking so long to pop off. Usually you've made a friend by this point. Or you've been killed. You've been killed before? What are you, a pur beast? 9 lives? In retrospect, it was also a pretty weird thing to say. You meant it as a metaphor? Sometimes your internal monologue gets out of hand and spills out into your interlocution. Whatever, dude. You're considering just bringing her back to your place to clean up the mess you've made there when you realize Marsti's no longer with you. You turn around to find her gazing down an adjacent street into an empty lot. The space gives you a brief twinge of recognition before it fizzles away to nothing. Probably just deja vu. What's happening? At first, you don't notice the person sitting on the tire pile because without her other half, her silhouette is underwhelming. Oh, fantastic. Hey, Normie. Oh, hi, Focal. It's been a while. She might notice that you are a whole lot less normal than you used to be. They're right. They're weird as hell. Hey, you are also like 80% more confident than you used to be. You don't back down from insults. Perhaps Marsti's the one who's weird, because she's the one who's so fucking into cleaning up after people. That's really strange. Hey, that's a little judgy. Yeah, for real. Oh, you'd been expecting Focal to join you in mocking Marsti. You didn't want to be too mean or anything. You're just really sick of having your intelligence insulted concerning stuff you absolutely could have no way of knowing about. You wanted her to look like an asshole, but as usual, it seems to be in fact you who are the asshole. Marsti seems to agree. Hey, maybe go fuck yourself a little bit. You apologize. You didn't mean it. You just experience pilot confusion when there's too many friends in one place. You're sorry. You didn't mean to insult her hobby, but she actually doesn't really seem too into it. You're just trying to help. You know plenty of low-bloods who do all sorts of activities. Oh yeah? Who? Well, Focal, for instance. She trolls. Wait, you need another word. She and her boyfriend, harass people, and they seem to enjoy that. Also, there's Skilla and Chixie and Sarava, and they all excel in their fields to a certain extent. Right. So how's that going for them? Well, you deflate somewhat. Chixie gets skeeved on all the time, Skilla constantly has to defend her home and Lucis against thieves. Sarava literally had to gouge out their own eye and downplay their psychic power. Vicari, well, near you can tell, Vicari is having a great time falling off cliffs and imagining the firmament above. He might be an outlier and therefore shouldn't be counted. While you're working through your apparent classism through your navel-gazing monologue, Marsti is checking Focal out. Like, really checking her out. Who the fuck are you? Focal slaps Marsti's hand away. Keep your fronds to yourself. Marsti raises her goggles up to her forehead. You've got Void Rot. No shit, troll Sherlock. Marsti gives her another once-over. She looks impressed. You honestly can't blame her. If Marsti likes grimy things, well, Focal is right up her alley. Dirt El Dorado. Selfishly, you wish you'd met Marsti back when you were more of a wreck at the beginning of your adventure. Holy shit. You're filthy. And you have no idea what you're talking about. Also, fuck you. Marsti touches her on the forehead, slowly this time, so as not to take her by surprise. Focal resembles a nervous little bug trying to decide whether or not to scuttle away. Did you think the dirt helped keep you insulated? It's actually the opposite of that. If you were less grimy, the energy transfer would be easier. Oh right, Cooperm isn't here, which means her giant battery isn't here either. Yeah, I sent him out for takeout. I needed a break. But won't she, die? Not instantly. Does your husk top die as soon as you unplug it? What are you, a fucking void rot scholar? What do you know? I know a lot of things. You ask Marsti if she's interested in medicine. Maybe she could go into that. Marsti rounds on you in stark irritation. This is the most emotion she's shown since you've met her. Whatever you're trying to do here, stop. I'm not stupid. What do you think they'd say if I applied to be a medic off-planet? They'd laugh their asses off and hand me a saturated scrub pole. And that's if they're feeling generous. This is what I do, so let me do it. Chastened and uncharacteristically speechless, you nod and let Marsti turn back to Focal. You really don't want to just leave it like that, but maybe the truly friendly thing here would be less trying to improve your friend's life and just letting them live it. Demon had told you much the same thing all those months ago. That he's planning to just keep his head down and try to stay alive. It's not uplifting, but maybe not everything has to be. Marsti gives Focal some advice as to the best way to make sure her body retains as much energy as possible. Focal groans, and you're pretty sure that if she had eyes, she'd be rolling them. You do notice, however, that she listens. Marsti starts back down the sidewalk after that, pushing her scour tray in front of her. After a moment's hesitation, you follow, half expecting for her to get mad again. Instead, she just slows you down so you can catch up. She's pulled her goggles back down over her eyes. You think they're probably more there for social reasons than protective ones. Sheepishly, you apologize for being a busybody back there. You're just really used to wanting to help people out. Kind of for selfish reasons, friendship reasons, but still. Yeah, it's fine. No hard feelings. You just like fixing things when they're busted, or when you've busted them through your own chronic idiocy. Sometimes you think you've just got to do what you can, but you think Marsti might understand that a little bit. Yeah, I think I might. Sometimes it be like that. Marsti's cute. Sometimes it be like that. All right, that was 3 endings of both volumes. That was Hiveswap Friendsim, episode 14. That was Marsti was written by Aisha Farah. Karako was written by Gizi, who's Aisha's father. Kim Quach did the sprite work, the talk sprite work. Phil Gibson did the background art. And Angela Sham did the background art and the ending illustrations. David Turnbull, Trace Excalibur, did the UI design. James Roach provided both tracks this week. And ASCII art version of Bowsette and Service Car Neutral Edition. Both of those are on his SoundCloud. Mint Chipleaf did the game design and programming for this episode, and Sandra Crawford did quality assurance. See you in 2 weeks for episode 15, where even more weird lore is going to get dropped. There's some real shit. All right. You guys, thank you for watching. I want to put this up on my YouTube as well.